So Democrats are actually pretty terrible negotiators. We saw that yesterday when they ended the government shutdown based on nothing more than Mitch McConnell's word. So he's like, oh, yeah. Well, we'll definitely consider doing a vote for the Dreamers. You know the deal that they made? The Democrats pretty much got nothing other than chip funding, which is actually fairly significant. That is the only good thing to actually come out of this deal, chip funding. But nonetheless, chip was incredibly popular among both parties. The Republicans holding it hostage, and they've been holding it hostage since September. So when they refused to fund it, like I reported on this back then, right? Hey, guys, CHIP's running out of money. Maybe we should actually allocate some funding to it. And the Republicans are like, no, but you don't understand. We want to hold it hostage. We're going to hold this program hostage so that we can use it in order to fund Donald Trump's wall. So guess what? Unfortunately, that was successful. That was one of the bargaining chips that the Republicans used against Democrats. Hey, don't you care about health insurance funding for children? Yeah, of course I do. Don't you? Well, no. We only care because it's used as a political prop. We don't actually care about children. So that's, of course, the Republicans. So now, like I said, Schumer, the rest of the Democrats, or I should say most of the Democrats, there are some that didn't actually sign on to this. It was 81-18 was the total vote yesterday. Bernie Sanders, Cory Booker, Kirsten Gillibrand, some others, Elizabeth Warren, said, you know what, we're not going to vote for this piece of crap because we get nothing for it, and it basically invalidates the entire reason that we shut down the government. Now, that's an important point to note because there's a CNN host, Ashley Banfield. I'm sorry, no, not Ashley Banfield. It's Baldwin, actually, on CNN, the CNN host, asks Debbie Wassermann Schultz, hey, like, what did you actually get from this whole shutdown? Was it even worth it? In fact, I want to show you that video. Let's take a look.
What one thing can you point out that the Democrats, that Leader Schumer, what one thing did he get, from Republicans to justify shutting down the government in the first place?
So the one thing I would say that he did get is the potential for momentum. Because if, and I'm certainly hopeful that that's what occurs, but if the majority leader, Mr. McConnell, can be taken at his word, and over the next 3 weeks before February 8th, they can negotiate on protecting the Dreamers, on making sure that we can have a full year comprehensive budget that lifts the caps and really makes sure that we can responsibly budget again, then maybe we can be in a position to get the House and the President to come on board.
So notice the framing there, right? Well, what did you get to justify shutting down the government? So admittedly, I'm not as comfortable with the framing, right? Because that casts, of course, the blame on the Democrats. But actually, again, as I explained earlier, Donald Trump refused to fund DACA, right? And also the Republicans refused to fund CHIP. So these different programs, Democrats are like, hey, wait a minute, this is supposed to be important to us. They've proven that it's really not important to them by them caving. But they claim, hey, man, these are important programs, so work with us. Donald Trump said, no, wall. I want a wall. I want billions of dollars to be wasted on the southern border. We want more military spending. We want all these things. We want more tax cuts, which, by the way, this agreement also authorizes $31 billion in tax cuts related to the health care law. So that's more stuff that they get. So, again, Democrats got completely hosed on this deal. But don't worry. You've got momentum. No, actually, you know what? Look, it's a waste of time, right? So here's the thing. Democrats, while they didn't cause the shutdown, they were ultimately, I guess, responsible for keeping the shutdown going, right? And as far as standing for their principles, okay? So the fact that they did not stand for their principles, the fact that they did bow down, the fact that they did not stand strong or get any sort of deal on Dreamers or anything else, more domestic spending, things like that, Well, then, again, colossal waste of time. I mean, do you think that Mitch McConnell's actually going to keep his word? No, absolutely not. In fact, Representative Steve Scalise said, hey, man, look, we didn't agree with that. Mitch McConnell doesn't speak for us. And actually, later on in the interview, Wassermann Schultz is like, well, no, we don't actually think that they're going to do anything. I'm a House Democrat. I'm not a Senate Democrat. I mean, I don't know. We don't have that deal over here. Well, then why did the rest of the Democrats take it? If they knew that the House, and they did, wasn't actually going to take up this piece of legislation, this deal, then why the hell do it? Again, Democrats are the worst negotiators, right? Oh, but don't worry. Again, Democrats have the potential for momentum. So now, if this sounds crazy to you, then you would be correct. And here's Brooke Baldwin responding to this being like, wait a minute, momentum? What? Here, let me show you the video.
I'm still hung up, though, and I know Americans are listening, and they heard you say, and it's reverberating, potential for momentum, and they're thinking, potential for momentum, was that really worth shutting the government down for? The potential for something.
I will tell you that Republicans should be asking themselves that question because they shut the government down. This is a Trump shutdown, Brooke. They control the White House, the House, and the Senate. They have the full ability to have passed a budget, done whatever they wanted, and they couldn't because they know that the way they are trying to approach funding the government is irresponsible, and they couldn't even get all of their own members to vote for it. There is a potential for momentum if they are able to reach agreement on making sure that we can have a comprehensive budget deal, get our disaster relief passed to protect the communities that have been devastated by natural disasters, make sure we responsibly fund our military, our community health centers, and children's health insurance, and our dreamers. And then eventually, hopefully, we can get some agreement from the House and the President.
You're not getting any of that. You know why Republicans aren't asking that question? Because they won. You handed them, not Debbie specifically, she had nothing to do with that vote. She's not in the Senate, as I explained. But some Democrats had just handed them a victory and said, well, here you go. Here's everything that you wanted, with no guarantee that the House is actually going to take up a DACA bill. Remember, look, she's right that Donald Trump did start this shutdown by, again, demanding that Democrats fund the wall and give billions dollars, over $50 billion more to the military. And Democrats, by caving to a 3-week extension, when you look at the politics of it, they've actually weakened their position. So when they start negotiating again on the other budgetary issues, Republicans will hold the advantage. So guess what we're doing? We're going to pay for the wall. You goddamn guarantee we're going to pay for the wall. Again, they weakened their position. And look, there were Democrats earlier during the shutdown. I believe it's Luis Gutierrez, right? He's like, I will fund Trump's wall if you give us DACA protections. He said it. He's like, yes, I will give Trump money for that fucking wall. He didn't say that. I'm saying fucking wall. If we get something from the Republicans. But you held all the advantages. You held the advantages in the polling. You held the advantages on everything. Look, most people don't actually want the wall. I think there's, 30% for support for the wall? Whereas on DACA protections and an eventual pathway to citizenship, 70 to 80% of Americans want protections for the Dreamers. But see, look, the Democrats don't actually care about them, right? No, what they care about, and I explained this in another video, they care about the markets. What happens when the government shuts down? The markets go bad. The markets go down. And their donors are like, no, you can't let the markets go down at all. We're getting rich off these markets, these Trump-inspired markets. So, look, whatever you do, end the shutdown. That's it. We're going to let you pull off this publicity stunt for maybe a day or two, but that's it. Fold. Like, we tell you to fold, you fold. And Chuck Schumer is like, I fold. I fold. But you got nothing for it. Nothing. That promise from Mitch McConnell isn't worth anything. They're laughing. They're over there on the Republican side. I can't believe we had the Democrats who had every single advantage in these negotiations willingly gave up their advantage. But look, again, it's not because they're bad negotiators. No person is that stupid and that bad at politics. The only explanation is that they are paid to lose. They are paid to lose by their donors. They are paid to be weak. They are controlled opposition. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.